So today, finished a book that I've been reading over the past couple of weeks, and it's by Joey Diaz, and it's called Tremendous, The Life of a Comedy Savage. And what a great book. I do love autobiographies. I love books about people's lives, when they've lived interesting lives, when they've been through the fucking ringer, when they've done some shit. And I do wonder if I like it so much because they're just things I would never do, but I still get that experience from just reading the book and listening to what they've been through and the mistakes that they've made. Now, for the people that don't know who Joey Diaz is, he is a comedian. He's very wild. Now, not PG, let's put it that way. That's the best way to describe it. And he's a fucking funny guy. And the stories he's got to tell are wild. And that's how I know him. That's what I've seen of him, as this comedian who's a bit wild, who's energetic, who's entertaining. And I knew nothing about his life, really. And reading this book, it changes the perspective that you have on him when you actually hear about his story. And the wild thing is, it seems like he plays down most of the moments in his life. I bet you he could write 400 books. It's a bit of an exaggeration. 4 books on his life and the wild shit he's done. But the point definitely came across in his book of his story. And his story is basically, he's Cuban, moved to America when he was 3 years old. His dad died just after they moved over. And then his mum died when he was 16, and he found his mum while he was on a LSD. His mum had a heart attack and he found her dead. He'd lived a wild life. It was raised surrounded by drugs and crime and stealing and just wildness. And then he'd grown up after his mum died. Basically didn't cope with it well at all. Did some more wild shit. Did a lot of drugs, a lot of cocaine. Did a lot of crime. Moved around a lot because he was stealing off people, stabbing people in the back. And then he went to prison for kidnapping, which it was a bit of a drug thing gone wrong. And then for other charges as well. And he went away for 4 years, had his experience in prison, found comedy in prison, came out of prison. His life went back to exactly how it was. His wife got pregnant. They had a kid, and he was still doing cocaine, doing his drugs, not happy with his situation. So much drama in his life, so much chaos in his life. And then he just got divorced, found comedy again, and started working towards that. Worked, by the sounds of it, extremely hard. And then started trying to build a life for himself throughout the struggle, throughout the pain of trying to make it. And also trying to not get back into the life that he'd lived. And his battle with addiction, in and out of it, and even when his career was going well, battling with addiction, and then sorts himself out. People die that he loves, that kicks him into gear and gets him to quit the cocaine and sorts his life out. Has another child with another wife, totally happy, a beautiful story. And what I'd like to comment on is just that the struggle and getting through it. And one thing he says in the book is he wouldn't wish for any of it to not happen because it's made him who he is. And that's such a beautiful line. That is so true for everyone's pain and everyone's struggle. Almost the purpose and the meaning and the value in struggle. It makes you who you are. You're always going to get struggle in life. You're always going to go through some shit. And I think the people that go through life and seem like they're doing good quicker than others are the people that learn the lessons faster than everyone else. How many times do you have to fuck up before you learn the lesson, basically? Some people fuck up a lot more than others and don't learn it and avoid trying to cope with things. And it's always an interesting story when someone's life is like that. When someone goes through that chaos for so long. I think he said it was something like 20 odd years. Well, more than that, it must be 30 years of just that chaos. And I couldn't imagine being in those shoes and being that person. But I like to imagine it. I like to imagine that applied to my life. And I say, thank God I learned those lessons before I even had to do them. I didn't have to go touch the fire to realize it's fucking hot. And I love that I can learn the lessons from other people's stories. For me, growing up, to avoid drugs, I just hear the story of Eminem. And I see that story and I see the ending and I see his path. and I say, yep, I don't need to do any of that. And this story of Joey Diaz, it's the same thing. It's like looking from a outer perspective and saying, one, you've done it right. Two, your life's not actually that bad when you're comparing it to the shit that he's been through. And three, you can hold on to these and use these as lessons, teach other people or expose other people to these stories. Because one of the factors I always think about in life is, how do you teach people? And the reason I think of that is because I think, how do I teach myself? Without a doubt, the best way to teach someone is through stories. And my most important lesson I learned as a kid through stories, the one that always sticks out to me, is the boy who cried wolf. To essentially teach you to not lie. And I don't know why, but that stuck. Just as a kid, that story stuck. Don't get me wrong, I still lied. But as an adult now, I seriously understand being you. And that's what stories do for me. And again, why I love to hear people's stories and autobiographies. The courage, the effort, and the patience to write an autobiography, to sift through your life and be vulnerable and say all the bad stuff you've done. He's done some bad shit. Come out the other side and has become a man. And one of the things he says in the book is one of the last thing, well, I don't know if it's the last thing, one of the important things his mum said to him was he wants him to grow up and be a man. And that's what he's thought throughout his life, of being a man. And to me, I don't think he would understand the impact he would have through that book. I don't suffer with any of the issues that he's had. And yet I can still sit there and finish the book and almost feel the tear being there and welling up and thinking, God, that is a beautiful story. I'm a bit obsessed with the idea of addiction, because addiction is some kind of leash, this sort of caveman sort of emotional reaction to things, this instant gratification, the need to want pleasure now, to numb things, to avoid things. And I think even though not everyone gets into drugs, I think everyone does that in a way. And it makes the life worse. Mix it with drugs and it's chaos. I love hearing the stories of how people get over that and get past it, because mentally you're battling with your sort of physical body. You're battling with almost your neurochemistry by feeding yourself this drug, and you have this craving for this surge of almost like dopamine. And when you put it in the simplest form, it's crazy to think that we get addicted to things just off that. And it's so simple and basic that it fucks up people's lives. It ruins people's lives, but it also teaches them so many lessons. And that's why I sort of respect or love to hear the stories of people who have been through that, because that's true struggle. That's the true battle with yourself and getting over it. And the amount of mistakes that Joey Diaz has made in his life, the amount of people he's fucked over, the repetition of mistakes, when at some points he feels like he's had it all and still fucks up. It's a beautiful story, because you can see that even after all that, he's got no hope. You look at his life and you say, there's no chance he's coming back. He's the scum of the earth. He's mistake after mistake after mistake. He's involved with all the bad stuff. There's only one way. There's only two routes for him, and that's death or prison. There's no way you're coming back from this sort of behaviour over 30 years. He makes it, and you look at him today, some people might not see who he truly is. Like me, when I'm listening to his joke, he's just a comedian. He's just someone for entertainment. He's just someone you laugh at or you like to hear about. Whereas when they release a story about their life and you get to know them, you really do see what makes the man, what makes the person that sits in front of you. And it always reminds me of the point of, you might want what that person has, or you might want to be how that person is, but do you want to go through the stuff that that person has been through to achieve what they've achieved? You rethink your wants, your needs, when you realise what sort of commitment it takes to achieve what they get, what they have. And most people wouldn't go through that life. I thought maybe I'll try and do this for every book I read, try and go through autobiographies, because I forget how much I do like hearing the stories of people. And my own story gets a bit boring sometimes in my own head. You can only focus on yourself so much. you can only sort of focus on your own mind for so long before you start going in circles. Sometimes it's just refreshing to hear other people's lives, because we definitely don't share with each other enough our own lives. You don't know your closest friends' struggles. You don't know their journeys necessarily. I don't know your closest friends, but you don't know odd random people. You know, most of us, I bet most people have been through something. I mean, we've all been through struggle. We all forget that factor, that we all actually have been through something that's been hard. And when we never share it, we never give our opinion on stuff like that, because maybe we just see it as normal. When you look at Joey Diaz's life, to him, it's probably normal with what he's grown up with. I think he was drinking when he was in single digits. And you think, you look at my life, and my life's nowhere near that, thank God. But you also don't get the lessons unless you can listen to these people's stories and learn yourself and attach a meaning to different things yourself. And like I said, it's a beautiful story. If anyone wants a book, to read that book, because it's tremendous. It's the name of the book, probably his favourite word, but tremendous really does sum up that book. And it's beautiful. I just thought I want to comment on it because I finished it today. But yeah, at the gym now, I've got to find another book to read. But peace.